Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome to the 7 a.m. class on tips to excel in Out at 2020. I hope you people are doing well. You are doing fine. Um, staying safe as well. So it boils down to the same thing. The, boils down to the same idea of that we sort of live well, eat well, exercise, sleep well. At the same time, we work hard. So it boils down to those basic things. The rest of the things will be taken care of. This is what I believe. Okay. Apart from that, please comment, ask questions, like and share, and subscribe to our channel. Um, it's important that we help you, and it's important that you also sort of support us in ways you can. Uh, So there are a lot of free classes on the Unacademy app. This is an Unacademy channel. There are a lot of free classes. So those free classes on the app, the special free classes, which teachers go live and they ask quizzes also. So it's very helpful for you. At the same time, there's some privileged content. Uh, my name is Anupam. I'm a mobility foreign faculty. 3,500 is students for CAT, and then responsible for more than 700 hours of CAT training. Also, have developed mobile ability questions GMAT as assigned. Please, so staying in touch, install Unacademy app and install and download, install it. Go to Plus, go to CAT, and go to subscribe option. Uh, these are the 5 offerings in front of you. Anything more than 12 months makes sense. And um, see, it is 15,750 12 months and 18,900 for 24 months. Uh, you will you can get the code, you can get the discount by using the code uh, Saxena Live. Um, and um, just one moment, huh? चाबी रखा है, मेरा क्लास चल रहा है, आप निकल जाए। अरे छोड़ दीजिए। So sorry. Um, uh, sorry, there was a bit of a confusion with my help. Right? Yeah. So so coming to our point that about odd one out. So yeah. Um, so in odd one outs, some thoughts are there that I imagine it to be. So I think that odd one out can be imagined to be a jigsaw puzzle. Can be imagined to be a puzzle which is in front of you. And if you try and arrange the puzzle which is there in in front of you, and then you arrange it, and then you find that, okay, there's this one piece which cannot be fit into the puzzle, and that's our answer. So Orban out works out in that way. um it works out in that way. So yes, I think it's really important to understand it that way. So the thing is that again, same thing comes out, that if you understand the theme, the main theme given, the main the point, the purpose of those 4 or 5 lines, the five lines given, and there are four which are relevant, which will form a paragraph, and one will not, one will uh, not be able to form a paragraph. And this is the one which happens to be your answer. So I think again the same thing, that your ability to read a text and tell what is the central idea of this piece, tell what is the primary purpose of this piece, of these 4 or 5 lines written, this of this paragraph, that actually makes all the difference. Again, like I say, solve 2 3 odd questions every day, and uh, analyze the questions that you answered incorrectly very properly. So your analysis of the questions which you're doing is extremely important. So let's read this question. Let's try and solve this question. It says 5 sentences related to a topic are given below. 4 of them can be put together to form a meaningful and coherent paragraph. I identify the odd one out. In many cases, in many cases, time in inconsistency is, so we're going to understand what is this, what are the 4 lines all about, and which one is on odd one out. In many cases, time inconsistency is what prevents or from going from intention to action. Time inconsistency they're talking about, from intention to action. Okay. For the people to continuously postpone getting their children immunized, they would be constantly fooled by themselves. For the people to continuously postpone getting the children immunized, they would need to be constantly fooled by themselves. In the specific case of uh, immunization, however, it is hard to believe that time inconsistency by itself would be sufficient to make people permanently postpone the decision if they were fully cognizant of the benefits. So, okay. So they're saying that so they're talking about children getting immunized here. They're talking about this idea that children have to get immunized, and people are postponing, and why they're doing that? Because they're constantly fooling themselves. Okay. So in the specific case of immunization, however, it is hard to believe that time inconsistency by itself would be sufficient to make people permanently postpone the decision if they were fully cognizant of its benefits. So here they're saying that they're talking about time inconsistency would be a sufficient reason to make people postpone their decision of going and sort of and getting their kids vaccinated if they are completely aware of its benefits. So inconsistency is not a strong enough reason. So talking about that, let's see what there's time inconsistency has been used here. Let's see how it pans out to be. We don't know. Let's see the next line. In most cases, even a small cost of even a small cost of immunization was large enough to discourage most people. So they're talking about cost now. They're talking about the money right now and then the cost. So earlier it was time in inconsistency, and it was benefits which would weigh on the other side, and it would as a trade-off it would convince people to do something which they were not doing otherwise. Now they're talking about small cost. Now this was nowhere mentioned here. Let's read 5. Not only do they think that they prefer to spend time going to camp, not only they have to think that they prefer to spend time going to camp next month rather than today. They also have to believe that they will need to go next month. Yeah. So fooling themselves as an idea is coming here because they are fooling themselves here. 2 and 5, they are definitely a pair here, and they're sort of so for people to continuously postpone their children immunized, they would need to be constantly fooled by themselves. 5, not only do they have a thing that they would prefer to spend time going to the camp next month rather than today, they also have to believe that they will be indeed go next month. So 2 and 5, this is a clear-cut connection. And before that, I think it will come there's a clear connection between 1 and 2, 1 and 3, because 3 says that 1 and 3, in many cases time inconsistent is what prevents our going from intention to action. And then it's 3, it says that in case of a specific in case of a specific so here it is talking about in general about time inconsistency, and here it talks about in the specific case of immunization. So from the journal case, it brings down to a specific case, and then believes, and then says that it is hard to believe that time inconsistency would by itself be sufficient to make people permanently postpone the decision if they were fully cognizant of its benefit. So one sort of takes this idea forward. One breaks this idea of time inconsistency being a reason behind to prevent us from doing something, and then they bring in a specific case of vaccination of kids, and then we talk about that this would not be enough here. Now this is the thing, and so there is this even the small cost of immunization. On this is something which was nowhere mentioned, and this is our odd one out. So the pair would, how would this sequence go? Sequence would be 1, 3, and 2 and 5. This is so yeah, this issue comes all the time, that all the sentences look relevant, but then as we've discussed that, like we'd discussed here in the previous sentence also, that you know, that it's only few of them. It's only uh, one sentence which will be the odd one out, and there will be a technical reason behind it. Okay, all right, there'll be reason uh, behind something. So that is how it is, right? Okay. Next question comes that water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. They say that water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. Okay. Uh, let's see how it will go. Particles from the sun collided with molecules in the air, knocking them into space or giving them an electric charge that caused them to be swept away from solar winds. Now it's talking about a process by which you know, some about something. Particles in the sun collided with the molecules in the air, knocking them to give it the electric charge that caused them to be swept away by solar winds. So they're talking about that molecules in the air, they are being swept away by the solar winds or knocking them into space. So probably it's related to something happening to the atmosphere. Most of the planet's remaining water is now frozen or buried. Clues over the past decade suggest that some liquid water, a presumed necessity for life, might survive in underground aquifers. Okay. They say that most of the planet's remaining water is now frozen or buried, but that some water uh, might be there in liquid form, and might survive in the underground aquifers. Next point is that data from NASA's Maven orbit. So we know about, this is talking about ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. This is talking how atmosphere was thinned, or it was sort of taken away, or the molecules in the atmosphere were knocked into the space, or they were swept away by the solar winds. Most of the planet's remaining water is now frozen or buried. Okay, and but clues over the past decade suggested that some water, uh, which is a presumed necessity for life, might survive in underground aquifers. Fourth point is that the data from NASA's Maven orbiter shows that solar storms stripped away from Mars is once thick atmosphere. So data from so yeah, they're saying that solar storms stripped away once thick atmosphere of Mars. Now this is relating to whatever we just read in the second line, that part that explains it to us, that how the solar storm stripped away the Mars once thick atmosphere. There's a clear-cut connection. Then let's read 5. It says a recent study reveals how Mars lost much of its early water, while another indicates that some liquid water remains. Much of its early water, but another indicates that some liquid water remains. And most of the this connection, this is connecting to this line here, saying that most of the planet's water is frozen or buried, but clues over the past decades suggest that some liquid water, a presumed necessity for life, might survive in the underground aquifers. This is there is a connection that they say that uh, some liquid water remains, and most of the planet's remaining water is frozen or buried. Clues over the past decade suggested that some liquid water might survive in underground aquifers, and here this idea that water that made up lakes and perhaps an ancient ocean was lost. This is sort of not connecting here. Why it is not connecting? So it might be talking about water here. It might, but what they were saying here is that there are two things they are talking about here. One is that they're talking about water, how early water was lost and some liquid water remains, and at the same time they're talking about how the atmosphere doesn't exist on Mars right now because of the effect of the solar winds. But this point here, that the water made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost, this was nowhere ever mentioned, so we can sort of forget about it. It's not relevant to our case. So one is the odd one out. That's the answer. So neuroscientists have just begun studying the exercise's impact within the brain cells on genes. The neuroscientists have begun just begun studying the exercise's impact within the brain cells on genes themselves. They're saying that neuroscientists have begun to study the impact of which exercise has within the brain cells on gene themselves. Then it says, talks about genes, and it says even there in the roots of a biology, they found signs of body's influence on mind. Even there means in genes, right? Because genes are the roots of our biology, right? So this is a connection here. They're talking about genes and they're talking about roots of biology. There's a connection. Because if you remember your biology of high school or at ninth, you remember that it is in the genetic code which are roots of our biology they lie. So they found signs of body's influence on mind. So it says, it turns out that moving a muscle produces proteins that travel through bloodstream into our brain, and in moving a muscles produces proteins that travel through. Now they're explaining it. Travel through the bloodstream to the brain, and they play pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought processes. So this is an explanation. This is sort of taking forward the science of influence of body's influence on mind. They were talking about all these items. And then 5 said that it is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work. and each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to the picture. That is the idea here. Four says that this is a connection. There's a clear-cut connection here. So 3 describes it how proteins travel through the bloodstream and into a brain, and they play what is pivotal. Pivotal is a very important role. It's a crux of like, so in a liver, pivot is on what the entire system hinges on. So if something is pivotal, it is extremely important. It is a backbone. It's a crux of the entire process. So in that way, there's a click, and so they're saying that this bloodstream protein in our bloodstream into the brain, and that's a very important role in our highest thought processes. And then it says in 5, it says that it's only in past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work, and each new discovery adds awe-inspiring means which something which produces immense amount of surprise and wonder. You know, a good surprise, or people are so amazed. You know, we never thought that this would be like this. Awe-inspiring depth to the picture. That is the answer. And 4th says that in today's technology-driven plasma screen in world, it is easy to forget that we are born movers, animals in fact, because we've engineered movement right out of our life. So these 4 lines, the purpose was what? The purpose was to, you know, that the neuroscientists have just begun, that at what stage the study is there with respect to exercise and the brain cells, you know, and to what level we know right now that exercise impacts brain cells. This is where we are right now. This is what we were talking about. 4 talks about that in today's technology-driven plasma screen world, it's easy to forget that we are born movers, animals in fact, because we have engineered movement right out of our lives. This is how it is. And this is the idea here. And how to analyze. So table can be helpful and may be helpful in giving ideas. Types of questions. Type of question here is that let's take up this question itself. So this part I'm bringing so that you get into the habit of analyzing your errors here. So if type of RC, so if the type of question is it's your odd one out, lesson learned. So for example, if you marked say 2 as the answer and not 4 as an answer, so what has happened that we have failed to understand the grammatical link. We're talking about the genes themselves, and then in 2 we talk about in the roots of the biology. So there's a clear-cut connection between the genes here mentioned and the roots of the biology here mentioned. So what we have done is that we fail to see the 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 connection between two lines based on grammar. Okay. Also, this line completely says that they found signs of body's influence on the mind. Also, one more thing, they've used they also here, right? They've used they also. It's a clear-cut sign that they refers to neuroscientists. And this so if just for the sake of understanding, see here they've written these factors. Which factors? The factors which were mentioned in 3. So pronoun, so I sometimes see that these pronoun usages and these pronoun usages in the line just below the proper noun uses, they are a very key factor. They're a very important factor in giving you the signal that yes, there is a connection, right? So that is how it is right now. And yeah. And also we sort of that so and if we take 2 as our answer, that the 2 is odd one out, then we sort of take in, then we understand that, believe that 4 is a part of the entire paragraph. But the point is, the point here is that 4 is not the point of not what we're trying to discuss here probably. 4 is talking about technology driven plasma screen world, that we are born movers. We have forgotten about the fact that that we have engineered movement out of our lives. The whole purpose of the discussion was not to talk about how we have brought in comforts into our lives by use of technology or science, or we have become more comfort oriented, and if forgotten to move. The point here is the focus here is to talk about that there's research going the neuroscientists have conducted recent research, and they've understood that there's a connection between the exercise and the impact the exercise has on the brain cells, what it is talking about. And so what we have to see, the modification in preparation is that we have to start understanding the primary purpose of the passage. We have to start understanding the primary purpose of the text given. That is how it. Yeah, so this is what I was trying to talk here. So I think if we go back and we look at what we have done in this class, is that we were talking about, so this particular piece was talking about time in, so we don't know, if you look at this, we don't know what is time inconsistency, and we need not know. We just know that this term has been used, and this term is connecting at least two lines here, and there are two other lines which we're talking about, that people are constantly fooled by their own uh, delaying, their own patterns of delaying their tasks. So people have this habit of procrastination, of delaying something, and that is why we have this 5 saying that they believe that they will go next month, which to the camps to get their children vaccinated, but they will never go, right? So it is 1325 here. There's a clear-cut connection. And 4 is talking about small cost of vaccination, which was large enough to discourage most people. Talking about cost, we never spoke about cost here, right? Then comes 10th here. One says that a particle that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. They say that water that made up ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was lost. We were talking about that there is a solar storm which is responsible for stripping away most of Mars's once thick atmosphere, and there are particles of the sun which are and then there's this and it's explaining in a great detail about how it happened. And then we're talking about frozen water or buried water with some liquid water present, and 5 also talks about that there is some liquid water remains. And if you look at the language also, if you look at the language also, with respect to the water, they're talking about something which is we're not talking about very ancient work here, they're talking about something with respect to the present moment. Okay, they're talking about that some life-giving some liquid water remains here. And here 2 talks about that the ancient lakes and perhaps an ocean was also lost. So this is something which was not connecting to the entire. Maybe this was a part of this whole paragraph or a passage much later down. So what happens that the theme is also there, which I should also mention here, that the problem with the odd one out, apart from understanding the purpose of the passage and of the paragraph, and then finding the odd one out which doesn't fit in, that the sentences which will come together to form a meaningful paragraph, they will be very closely associated. There will be very close bonding. There will be very close. They will be very closely related in terms of ideas. But there will be this one sentence which may use common words, but it will not be closely related. It will not be attached to. So that is a funda here. 11 says that neuroscientists have just begun studying the exercise's impact within the brain cells on gene themselves, and even there in the roots of biology they have found the science of body's influence in mind. It turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream into the brain when they play pivotal roles in the mechanism of our highest thought processes. And 5 said that it is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work, and each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to the picture. Now, this is how it is. And 4 talks about something else. It talks about, so we have 1 and 2 talking about the exercise impact, about how they are they're related to the genes, our cells, and the roots of our biology. And then 3 talks about that muscle produces protein, moving muscles produces proteins. And 5 says that these factors. And 4 is about talking about plasma stream world, and we have forgotten to move. Now we were not talking about that idea, that there is, so this is, so these are all, this is all. Also I sort of was coming to the point that there is there is somewhere majority angle here. Generally, when we talk about majority in politics, or in administration, or in office life, majority is not a good word. It's not used with the positivity. It's used with a sense of a brute force, which the numbers bring in with you, that okay, we are out of 100 people, we are 80 people, or we are 70 people, so we, whatever we say, will that will happen, or our will prevail. But the point here is that I'm talking about the majority in terms of the ideas, right? What were the majority of the sentences talking about? They were talking about that exercise's impact on brain cells and how scientists are studying it. That impact. 4 was talking about something else. The 4 is odd one out, and that's how we have to answer the question. And we did a bit of a analysis also, and if somebody is doing this, I think they'll be improving every day in their odd one out. Yeah, to stay, yeah, please to get Unacademy subscription, it's amazing, because the pricing is 18,000 and something, 18,000. Let me give the correct figure. Saying something. So sorry, there was a small problem there. The pricing is 18,900 for 24 months, and for 12 months it is 15,750. Using the code Saxena Live, giving us a 10% discount. This kind of investment into your career is extremely helpful. What do we offer? We offer live classes. You get to interact with the educator. So live classes are going on in the chat. You can talk with the educator. You get live boards and leaderboards. You get test series and their analysis, and you also get live doubt clearing sessions. So much for at a very subsidized price. And please use the code Saxena Live and get 10% discount. Thank you very much. See you at 2 p.m. in the RC class.